everyone. Thanks for joining in. This is a PTI PropTech series. What PTI is that our goal is to bridge the gap between the real estate and its application to technology. So what we do is that we provide a platform to bridge the gap in the real estate and PropTech community to share knowledge in both real estate and its application technology. Today, we are sharing some time to talk about getting suggestion for traditional real estate professional, how PropTech can change their workforce and processes. So today we have Alicia from PTI and Zion from PTI. So thanks for coming in, and then I hope that we have a good session together to share our knowledge and share about your opinion about how PropTech can affect your sector. So let's start from Alicia. Alicia, would you mind telling us a little bit more about your background and then why you're interested in PropTech itself?
Hi everyone, I'm Alicia, and I'm a lawyer, and I have been interested in real estate related legal work, and I've been working in this area for more than 7 years now. And in my area of practice, I work with listed real estate developers, and right now I'm actually at a real estate PE fund. So the reason why I'm interested in PropTech is because growing up from Hong Kong, I can really see real estate as one of the pillars of the economy. And I would see that PropTech it would be the future. And I think it's very important for us as a younger generation to really stay at the forefront of development and really embrace the change.
Mm-hmm. How about Simon? How about yourself?
Yes, thank you. Background, I came back to Hong Kong from Canada, and I have been in the real estate industry for almost 10 years now. Mainly in the brokerage field. I agree with Alicia saying the fact that, right now technology is coming to the society and how we should all move forward from the traditional sort of setting of real estate. So I think that's why we are keen to also push this forward and to promote tech within a traditional industry per se.
I see. That's good. I think it's a pretty good start. So I want to start by asking Alicia, right, on your work. Like, why do you think PropTech is important, and then how does it might affect the process of your work, which you feel technology can help, and why?
So, well, in Chinese culture, 衣食住行, clothes, food, home, and transport are the four most important aspects to one's life. And technology in relation to clothes, food, and transport has already permeated into our daily lives. But in terms of real estate, I think technology has not progressed much, and especially in Hong Kong. So I really believe that PropTech would be the next big thing. And generally speaking, I think, as with how technology is transforming other sectors such as finance, we will see PropTech improving efficiency by cutting costs and cutting out the middleman, i.e. advisors, sometimes even agents, for more procedural type of matters. So therefore, I think, as I mentioned earlier, I think it's really important for our generation to maintain competitiveness in the next decades by embracing change and staying at the forefront of development.
So do you think that, like, so for your role, right, how do you think that, from my understanding so far, you're from a real estate private equity background, right? So do you think there's something in how the fund works that it might affect it?
Well, a little bit more about my background. So I'm a senior legal counsel in a real estate private equity. Mm-hmm. So my work is primarily concerned with legal aspects of transactions. So I think as an institution nowadays, transactions are heavily contract driven. So I think where technology can come in and help me becoming better at my work and becoming more efficient is by removing the more tedious and less intellectual type of work of, say, contract amendments. So for example, in many deals, we have a starting point with a precedent document. And as the first step, maybe we just need to change very simple things, for example, party names, figures. But if there is a one-click solution to do this, so that I could just change everything one go, and then where I can then focus my mind, my time, and energy on more like intellectual, high-level type of processes, such as strategizing the transaction structure and building that into legal documentation. That would help me a lot. And also, more generally speaking, as a real estate PE, work is heavily reliant on sourcing deals. However, this aspect is also very relationship driven. So you need to somehow come across a willing seller, buyer, a developer who wants to borrow money, because part of our business is real estate related mezzanine loans. So occasionally we do rely on brokers. But can we cut this out, or can we make the whole process more transparent by having a platform for institutional deals? But noting that we already have platforms for, say, like rental and like sale and purchase of individual units, I think this step into the more institutional world would really transform the real estate landscape and make the market more efficient in Hong Kong.
I see. So I want to ask Simon too, because there's one comment interesting about how you might cut off in the future, cut off broker. So for Simon, in your point of view, right? What does a real estate broker does most of the time? Because a lot of people watching this, from tech background or from a layman background, they might not know what real estate broker does. And then one more like how elaborate about the work you do. And then what do you think PropTech might help your workflow? And then I'm kind of curious of how you would respond to Alicia's opinion with maybe potentially cutting off the broker.
Yep. No, I think it's already happening. I agree. I think if we were to answer that question more, I guess, in a deeper level, we have to first answer to ourselves, what does that middleman really do, right? Or what does that agent really do, right? The short answer for me, I think, yes, it will probably replace some aspects of being the agent or the middleman, which we have been seeing in some of the platforms, right? Since, I guess, a decade ago, when I was back in Canada, when they have Craigslist, Kijiji, those are already platforms or tech that really enables buyer to seller to engage each other, right? So you don't need the middleman. So do I anticipate a disruption whereby you have no middleman in the transaction? I don't think so in the long run, and I don't think that's what Alicia was saying as well, because there are values to be brought. Value, I guess, in a very, very simple manner would be how that person save your time, right? So sourcing deals is very important. Relationship, especially in Asia, is I think one of the main thing that drives businesses, right? So I think to answer your question, I don't think it will be replacing, but more on how to add a other dynamic on the brokerage relationship.
I see. So I'm curious too, because I think you guys know my work is that my job is to find a lot of professionals, like for example, real estate brokers, real estate agents, developers, and many more come together in one platform and share knowledge. And now I was wondering too, right? Because in my own research, there are like 2,000, 3,000 real estate platforms around the world. So in your point of view too, Simon, is that how, like, have your company talked about like these kind of threats? And then as I stressed before, right, the human touch is something that even I believe is very important, something that is very hard to replace with. Is there something that you guys feel like your field might switch towards, or something that you guys might amplify or minimize because of this whole movement?
So that question is towards me.
Correct.
So can you repeat the question? I mean, what did you want me to answer?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, if you guys as an organization, like let's say you're from CBRE, so I'm sure you guys will discuss about real estate platforms, and then there are quite a lot of platforms start popping up around the world. And as I said before, like I think the human touch is something that is hard to replace. Is there other kind of skill sets or services you guys provide that you guys felt might be more and more important because of this shift, or something that as a real estate brokerage sector might switching towards because of this movement?
Well, I think, well, I don't speak on the company's behalf. I speak for myself as a professional in the industry. I think there are companies that are taking advantage of, the 5G connectivity and, different platforms whereby they could just replace some of these basic, I guess, not basic, but more on the tedious middlemen. I think that this is happening, and I think companies are also striking a balance on how they could preserve their core competencies and making sure that they are adding value at the same time. So I think it's slowly transitioning, and companies are aware, and I think that's why what we are doing right now are actually raising awareness as well.
I see. So I'm curious too, because I try to talk to developers, real estate developers, about PropTech, and it seems like it's really hard to persuade. So for sitting in a real estate developer's shoes, for Alicia, like, what do you think? Why do you think it's hard to persuade a developer? And what would you suggest that people like me, a PropTech startup founders, or someone in the PropTech professional, who can persuade real estate developer to try the product or opt into their, like, technologies?
So from my observation, I think a lot of real estate developers in Hong Kong encounter legacy issues. So many of the big guys in Hong Kong have really gained the prominence in the 70s and 80s, and their systems have been in place for decades. So this contrasts with PRC developers I know, whereas say internet sales of properties is part of the norm, and that's even internal approval procedures are all part of their IT systems. And I think this contrast in the degree of embracing technology in Hong Kong versus PRC, you can also see in different industries as well, such as mobile payments. And I think the Hong Kong real estate big guys are like highly established, complicated machines. And it's really hard for them to overhaul existing systems and embrace new technology quickly. It will take immense focus and energy to completely change existing systems when they actually work now. But I think a big theme in the Hong Kong market in recent years is the transition of power from one generation to next. And perhaps we can younger leaders being more willing to commit energy, time, and money into improving efficiencies. But I think from the angle of PropTech services providers and founders like yourself, I think it's very important for you guys to demonstrate the attractiveness of your products in terms of cutting costs and improving efficiency in order to persuade the real estate developers to change their systems. Because change is always difficult for people. And if there's a one-stop seamless solution out there, that would be attractive, not only to the big real estate guys, but also to smaller real estate companies too.
I see. So beside all those, right, is there any like a really big concern that real estate developers have when adopting new technology as well?
Yeah. So building on from what I mentioned earlier is that Hong Kong real estate developers have deeply entrenched processes and systems, and it's very difficult for them to change. It may take a dedicated team in the company to put new technology in place, and so it will be hard to ask people to spare time from the usual day job already and to help adopt these systems. So I think a lot of the companies out there may not bother if things already work. And not only so, but usually taking up these new technology tends to be costly. So I think how to address these concerns for PropTech providers is to think how you could position your products such that it's clear to the customers that they could be implemented with as little as effort from their side, and also showing them that the product is financially sound for them and attractive, so that they are not embracing technology just for the sake of doing so. It actually makes a lot of sense for them.
I see. Is there any technology that you felt that is missing in the market that you would like to have for your company or for your work?
I think, as I mentioned earlier, is some sort of platform to help us with sourcing deals. I think, as Simon mentioned earlier, and you as well, I agree very much that the human touch cannot be replaced. But I think as a starting point, if the market could improve the transparency through some sort of platforms like these, then I think that would make the overall process of deal sourcing and transactions more efficient for us.
I see. How about for Simon, right? Is there any technology that you think that can help your work to better add value to your customers, or something that you wish to have during your workflow?
Yeah, I mean, I think basically any technology that could streamline or save my time would be beneficial, right? As Alicia said earlier, I think, you know, the administration work where the tech where they could come in and save anyone's time. I think that's basically what the tech could do. So how the value proposition of one tech that contributes, I think bottom line, anything that relating with perhaps marketing and communication will help my line of work on anything relating with tech.
I see.
Yeah, if that makes sense, I think another big theme of how technology would play a role in the coming decades is really enhancing human efficiency, because I think a lot of human energy now, unfortunately, is still spent on more kind of tedious work. But I think by adopting and embracing technology, we could really unlock more human potential into doing things that are more creative, that really requires a brain and not just a computer.
I see. So
Absolutely, I agree.
I'm just curious, right? Because like obviously right now we're May 2020, and the virus situation in Hong Kong is slowly uplifting. But is there something that you guys felt that, you know, have changed the dynamic of the workforce? Because I think that we all have been working from home for the past couple months, and then it's like I was wondering for your work, you know, like when doing your work, is there something that you felt that this whole episodes, you know, like some takeaway from it is something that like you can use technology that, you know, you couldn't thought before, or something that you felt that it's time to cut off something, replacing something else? Is there anything like that, Alicia?
Well, I think for us, just so happened for our company, a lot of people travel anyways. I think 70% of the team would be away from Tuesday, Friday. So we're very used to working not physically near each other. But I think overall, I think we could see a value of both, of using technology more and allowing us to work at a distance. But also, we also at the same time come to appreciate more that human aspect of working together, seeing each other's faces. So I think on one hand, we are more used to, or would think that, okay, it's actually okay to not work next to each other. We can still communicate very well using video, using phone, emails, messages, whatever. And then work could just be sent across by emails and it's all fine, works. But at the same time, you do miss your colleagues, and like you do miss being able to see each other, see what other people are doing. You just understand more about what's going on in the company. And I think there's that human connection that just cannot be replaced just by technology. So I think I appreciate both.
How about Simon yourself? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm more or less on the same page. I think definitely has some huge impact around the workplace, whereby we will now, I mean, firms are already taking consideration to reallocate their real estate resources, right? So do we need that much space? Do we need that office specifically to work? Not saying that you could work from home. I think towards the fact that, you know, we are pretty much activity based. You know, we are working anywhere, anytime. I mean, especially our generation, whereby we grew up with our smartphones and all. So I think in a nutshell, every day we're evolving, and since this pandemic situation has of course accelerated the pace. So I think definitely, and that's a good trend.
So I'm just also curious too, right? Because as a brokerage point of view, I'm sure you see a lot of how your clients are facing the pandemic and then seeing how they manage it. Do you feel that because of this whole situation with the virus and then the recession is coming to us, do you feel there's a switch off this whole centralization of offices? Because something that a lot of people in North America have been talking about it for a long, long time, but it seems like now talk of the discussion of decentralizing office space have starting to be more aware.
Right.
Do you have any suggestion
I
on
think I think I think very good point. Again, I wouldn't, and as Alicia says, I think coming together is the main common denominator of this, right? Don't I wouldn't say an office is just for, you know, white collar. It could be another element, right? Gathering point or whatnot. So I think there are different elements where we could now think on using this space. So for example, you could still rent the same size of office, say for example, but then that same size of office may be used for something else rather than just a desk and a laptop, right? It could be you know, wellness session or whatnot. So I think a common place to come together. I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly, but it's a matter of just getting together. I think that element we cannot replace, given the fact that we, as you know, animals, we need to see each other, right? So you could only replace it by so much with the technology. So again, going back, I guess, to ground zero, it really depends on what that technology could bring towards and then could offer. And I think to reiterate, we are talking about different elements of technology that could, you know, add value to your property in general. So again, that whatever, you know, within the office, if you could use an app to order your breakfast in the office or something, those already is considered something that can add value to any users, right? So I think that's changing, and in a good way.
I see. So I'm
So
wondering.
it could be. I mean, sorry to interrupt. I guess to
Yeah,
the final point, it could always be a win-win, right? It doesn't mean that, you know, because technology is coming. It's just, again, to Alicia's point, having better utilize the human brain to be more creative.
I see. So there's actually an idea that I have with a couple of PropTech founders, right? We felt that because like there are a lot of brokerage firms that provide services to a lot of funds or, you know, developers that might not have the resources to invest in technologies. Have you ever thought that the brokerage role might switching towards a technology provider as well? Like how do you feel about that kind of statement?
Sure. I mean, I think as we get more familiar with everyday tech, it's also a learning curve, right? Just like before, when everybody didn't know how to use a computer, they need time to adopt and so forth. So I think it's not really just down to just particular sector. I think it's overall the community, the government. So to really say it for the brokerage, it really depends, because we, at the end of the day, we're client oriented business, right? So if, say, other businesses are not also evolving, then it's not an easy job for just, you know, one side to be pushing it as much. If that makes sense.
No,
so I think yes, but being creative, trying to provide the best service, because at the end of the day, we're service oriented. So it aligns with whatever that you just said about tech anyway.
I see.
So yes. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's good. I think it's good to know from you guys, because we never have this chance to talk about, you know, how you guys feel about the PropTech, how they've affected your work, and then how does it evolve or even enabling better skill set and expertise. spreading further and broader to a lot more people. So I'm wondering, because three of us are from PTI, we work a lot on this project. How do you feel that what is something that you think that we should do better, or something we can help Hong Kong or people in this sector? Because like I felt that even though PropTech, I've been talking about PropTech for a long time, like I've been working on this for 3-4 years, property tech, but then it seems like it only has getting started, even in the global scale, as it gets started. And then, guys, how I feel about Hong Kong is that I felt Hong Kong had a lot of undervalued resources and they should dedicate more on PropTech. So I kind of want to know how you guys feel about what PTI could do, and what as a society like Hong Kong and the industry, real estate or PropTech or technology as a whole should do more for everyone. So let's just start with Alicia, because like Simon and I have talked, just about quite a lot. So Alicia, what do you think of it?
I think one of the visions I have for PTI when I joined and helped build this together with everyone is that I hope that in the first stage, it could be a platform, a meeting place for users and providers of PropTech. Mm-hmm. I think right now there may be organizations that want to use technology to improve their work in real estate, but they don't have like one place to go to. Even if you Google, you might not be able to find it. The providers that you would work best for you. So I think what I want to do through this organization is to help put all these great companies, startups together, and then be a concentrated meeting place for users and providers, such that from on one hand, the startup founders have a place to connect with users, and then users have a place to connect with providers. And I think that's a starting point that I think PTI could help in promoting technology, improving efficiency of the whole market. And I think as a second step, it's also to educate old or young generation about what PropTech could do. And I think that kind of flows from the first stage. And I think this will definitely be the future, I really believe.
I see. How about Simon? What do you how do you feel about it?
Yes, I agree. On the point that, where we have to live in the shelter daily, then it relates to everybody, right? So the audience is everybody, and our vision on trying to serve each other, right? So sharing ideas, offering proper channel to enable that working relationship amongst communities. I think that's what we are trying to promote here. So I think just be inclusive to anyone that have new ideas, because that's what innovation and also technology is about, right? So I think, again, yes, completely agree. Just a forum organization whereby people could express their views.
That's good. So I think this is pretty good, because it seems like I was hoping this video can show more about how traditional professional feel about the change and then the digitalization of the future. So is there anyone that you guys would recommend us to interview and talk about? And then is there any topics that you want me to explore more with other people as well?
Yeah, I think. Go, Alicia.
Okay. If there is any case studies of how PropTech startups, founders have integrated that technology into more, I guess, traditional companies, I think that would be very interesting and educative content for other big guys, other established companies out there, see how they could learn from that experience and also adopt technology themselves. I think that would be very interesting.
Okay. Is there anyone or organization you have in mind that you think that we should try to, have just like some similar video together?
Not so much off the top of my head, but I feel like if you guys have any case studies to share, anyone at all, I think that would already be very interesting. And actually, flowing from that, one thing I think would be interesting for our viewers is learning about the different PropTech businesses out there. Because I think a lot of people, when they think PropTech, they're like, okay, real estate technology. okay, so what is that really about? So I think just understanding the different businesses that are involved in PTI right now, I think itself is already would be very interesting.
Sure. How about Simon? How do you feel about it?
Yep. I think to connect the dots, some featuring would be very, very beneficial. So understanding what's out there. I mean, similar to other shows that we might probably seen on YouTube about how, for example, some construction companies adopting new technology to build their flats or anything. So anything relating to those and would already promote and share the same vision on promoting the technology side of this, right? So yes, I think we could definitely reach out to some companies in, yeah, as Alicia said, startup. It could be, you know, or any existing companies, right? I think primarily that we could focus even for construction. You know, how do we solve through technology? How do we solve, you know, pollution, or how do we fasten the construction period so that people could live in a proper shelter, right, in Hong Kong? I think these are the topics that is relatable and also are good to address, and the tech side of it as well.
I see. I think that's pretty good. It seems like you guys are hoping to find more examples of how people digitize their process and then their experience and then how like what's out there pretty much. And I think that is something that even I felt that is missing. And then it's still early in the market, I felt. And then I think that because right now a lot of people's market got affected, so they look into tech to see alternative help to how to help their work and how to make more money or cut costs and so on. So I think this is pretty good. Like, thanks so much for your time, and I'm sure that like I want to feature you guys again in the future videos, and then yeah, so we can talk more. And is there any last comments you guys want to tell the viewers about? Alicia, you can start first.
Yeah, I think actually flowing from your point just now, how you say the current pandemic situation has affected the markets. I just think on the other hand, I think for some of us fortunate enough not to be too directly affected, I think it's also a time that businesses could reflect and see how how technology could help improve their work and really just have a more inside view of the organization. Because I think on a daily basis, every day there's stuff going on. This might not be at the forefront of people's mind, but I think during this time where there may not be as much activity in the market, actually it may actually be a good time for organizations to look inwards and see how they could improve their systems and processes, particularly with the help of technology.
I see. How Simon? How about yourself? Any last comments?
Yeah, I mean, just keeping positive, that things are gonna be better, and driving to a point where, you know, not having the status quo on current settings, thinking outside the box, being creative. We already offer that, you know, technology side or innovative side. And if you are in the property, you know, industry, then it all relates. So being positive and thinking on how to better solve your problems, then, you know, that itself is creating value.
Mm-hmm. So I think, like, yeah, I think that's pretty good. So how would if viewers want to reach out to you guys, what is the best method for them to reach out to you? I guess through LinkedIn, suppose.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, so if that's the case, then I'll share your LinkedIn to our YouTube channel, and then like thanks so much for your time. And then like I really want to do this again. It's really good sharing, and then I hope to have you guys again on this channel.